Trish will turn
Welcome to a great evening
Yeah.
of ghost stories and things that go slash in the night.
Okay. I'll be careful.
But this particular program also marks the end of Maritime History on Tap for the year. So we won't pick this program series up again until next November. And I do ask anybody here that has an idea of someone who might be a great speaker or a topic that we might want to explore, please let me know, and we'll try and see what we can do to make it work. I also need to thank you for coming, especially on such a wonderful night as we have. And your loyalty not only to the topic, but also to the museum and being here is deeply appreciated. By way of introduction, my name is Fred Stonehouse. I am the president of the Maritime Museum. So you can blame me for much of this, I guess. But tonight the program will be Ghosts of Lighthouse Point, as you can see. We have two wonderful presenters who are going to guide us through their explorations and what they've been able to find. The first one is Trish Kotz of UP Paranormal, as well as Haunted 906. The second one is Susan Hill. Susan is a board member at the Maritime Museum and also a paranormal guide throughout the year. And I think you're going to find the explanation of what's been out at the Lighthouse fascinating. With all of that, I will pass it off to Ms. Hill.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming, and thank you, Fred, for the glowing introduction. I hope that we can make you guys believers tonight. I have a show of hands. Who all believes in the paranormal? Okay. Who doesn't? Yeah, you're my people. Okay. So I have lived in the UP now for 6 years, and I did not believe in ghosts when I moved here. I would watch the odd TV show, and I thought that was pretty cool, you know, like Ghost Adventures or something, if it was on. I wonder if that's real. No, probably not. But when I moved here, I saw the poster in the window of the Maritime Museum looking for volunteers. And I was new to the area, and what better way to meet people than to volunteer? So I headed on in and filled out an application, and armed with some flashcards with important dates and history about the Lighthouse, I set off being a regular daytime tour guide. 3 tours a week. I think I was the Tuesday tour guide for a couple of as part of our daytime tour. And footprints up in the Lighthouse. Who all's been up to the Lighthouse before? Okay, yeah, so you've seen the footprints. It's a great story. I told the story. Nothing really had happened to me, and anyway, I was still a non-believer until the end of my first year up there. One of the last tours of the season, I was locking up. We have a fire regulation where we have to keep the front door open while we have a tour in, as well as the back door accessible. And I left my tour outside, and I went back into the Lighthouse to lock up the front door. So this is the tower door. You got the spiral stairs, the very front of the Lighthouse, the tower door. And I had closed the door, and I was putting the 2x4s across it that bar the door and stop people from coming in. And all of a sudden, the door at the top of the tower stairs that goes onto the second floor of the Lighthouse, it made a creaking sound. And then it slammed. And I mean, it slammed. And my little brain is going, you know, man, it must really be windy out for the wind to howl up the tower and make the door slam. And then my little brain is going, but that door opens inward. And it just slammed this way, and the wind would be blowing it inward. There must be a window open. I'm running at that point. I'm already heading out the door because that door just slammed with great force, and I can't explain it, and I'm freaked out. I'm in there alone. And I went booking it down the stairs and into the Maritime Museum, and Hillary, our fearless director, was behind the desk, and I'm like, Hillary, the door just slammed by itself. There's got to be a window open up there. We need to go up. We got to close this window. I had never been to the second floor of the Lighthouse at this point, so this was a big thrill for me to get up there. When I got up there, I realized it's pretty creepy. Something doesn't want you up there. And it was abundantly clear that, So we're going room to room, and Hillary's got this knowing smile. She always gives me this smile whenever something new and weird happens. It's this very serene, knowing smile. She doesn't tell me I'm nuts, You can tell she's maybe thinking it. Anyway, we went room to room, and there was no windows open. There was no rational explanation for what had just happened with that door. And that was my intro to the paranormal at the Lighthouse, or things I couldn't explain. I wasn't convinced still that it was a ghost. But that being said, I have a lot of stories for you guys, but we're going to get right into it with some opening information here. We'll give you guys a couple of video clips, and then I'm going to call the lovely and talented Trish up here to hang out. No sound. Where's our Kelly?
For more information, visit mqtmaritimemuseum.com.
We got sound now.
Everyone knows Marquette's Red Lighthouse, but do you know it may be haunted? Learn more by taking a paranormal lighthouse. Hear the stories of events and spirits that dwell on lighthouse grounds. Tours every Friday. For more information, visit mqtmaritimemuseum.com. Everyone knows Marquette.
When we started using the Portal Plus, that we finally started getting some answers.
Is there a Pam here? Is the keeper here? Are you keeping sales? Who's the little boy that's here? How old are you? Did you want her to? Okay, yeah. Do you know Susan? Sweetheart, what's your name? That's what I thought. Yes, he said yes.
So, what's going on? You feeling sick right now?
Yeah, I am. Just the stomach is upset, and I don't know, just a lot of energy going on down there. It's pretty heavy. Right now, so usually leaving the room and coming into a different one for a few minutes, just getting some fresh air helps. Hearing "Hello, Susan" still makes the hair stand up on my arms several years later. Hello, I'm Susan. So, that being said, Trish, come on up and let's get you. Everybody, this is Trish Cox. She is the founder of You Prepare Paranormal and Haunted in 906, and she's going to tell you more about both of those in a little bit. So, how I met Trish. In 2017, I attended a You Prepare Paranormal presentation at the Ishburn Library. And Trish was talking about some of her investigations and experiences here in the UP, and it was super interesting. And I thought, oh, how cool. I think it was about a 2-hour thing, and there was a psychic, and it was great. And then I followed her page on Facebook, You Prepare Paranormal and Haunted 906. Check it out. Anyway, when they started the construction of Lighthouse Park in Marquette here, I believe it was in 2018, things got pretty interesting up at the Lighthouse. Construction it really ramps up the paranormal activity. So we had a lot of booming and crashing and footsteps and slamming and my nerves were shot. It got to the point where I was ready to give up being a volunteer because I didn't know what was up there, and I felt like I was walking on eggshells all the time, and I didn't like it. And I sent Trish a message and explained what was going on, and I said, would you be interested in coming to check it out and maybe telling us what's going on? And she was like, oh yeah, it was Friday. So Trish and her team came up the following Friday.
Been there ever since.
She's been there ever since. Absolutely. More evidence on their preliminary walkthrough before they'd even set up their stuff. Like Trish was like a kid on Christmas morning. She was so happy. So we've got some really interesting clips for you guys tonight. So if you're not a believer, this may sway you. We shall see. Anyway. Let's talk about the history of the Marquette Lighthouse, and we'll go from there. So the lighthouse that you guys see standing on the hill today, the beautiful red lighthouse, is not the original lighthouse for Marquette. The original was built in 1853. It was a separate tower and house structure. It was made primarily of wood, and wood in that location is not the best building choice, but it lasted less than 10 years. So the lighthouse that we see today was built in 1866, and it originally looked like this. It was a color called Milwaukee Cream Beige, one story, and it was in the early 19s, or I'm going to say 1910-ish, that they added the second story onto it to create more quarters or more housing for the keepers that were on site. And then in 1965, I believe, it received its first coat of heartthrob red paint, and the addition of the red and the second story make Marquette unique on the Great Lakes. There is no other lighthouse exactly like her, and she's beautiful. So we're very lucky to have that here. We'll go for a lighthouse floor plan here because I want to tell you guys my second story. This is what broke me and made me contact Trish. So I was, it happened in that front tower stairwell area again. So there's a lot of activity there. I was closing the door again. It was a hot summer day, and I'm talking no wind, and we were all sweating, and it was just a little bit of airflow would have been so welcome. But anyway, the tour is outside. I'd come in to close that front door and to bar it again. So I was standing right about here. So I just closed this door, and I'm standing right here. I'm grabbing 2x4s and putting them across, and all of a sudden it got ice cold in that front entryway, and I'm talking like standing in a freezer cold. And the hair stood up on my arms and the back of my neck. And I'm just kind of frozen there. Like, meh. You know something's going to happen. You're wanting to run, but you're scared. And yeah. And anyway, hair stood up on my arms. And all of a sudden, I had a ponytail in. And I felt like a finger down the back of my neck. Oh, God. And I turned because somebody just touched a creepy finger down my neck. You have never seen a fat woman run so fast. Let me tell you, I am surprisingly quick. Usain Bolt would not have beat me out of that lighthouse. And again, I go thundering down the 45 stairs, across the parking lot to the Maritime Museum. Hillary! And there's Hillary sitting behind the desk with her knowing smile. I go, okay, Susan. And interestingly enough, the next day, another one of our tour guides, her name is Shannon, was doing the tours. And Shannon and I hadn't talked for a while. You know, you see the other volunteers maybe a couple times a year at events, but we don't really, it's not an all the time thing. But anyway, Shannon came down the next day and she's like, Hillary, something just touched my neck at the front door. The exact same thing happened to Shannon the next day. Hillary says, you should call Susan. Ask her how her day was yesterday. So I get a message from Shannon. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, something touched my neck. I'm like, no, something touched my neck. So when you're getting touched, that was a deal breaker for me. I was like,
See, and I like that.
and Trish likes that. So yeah, anyway. All right, folks, I'm going to turn the mic over to Trish, and she is going to talk about some of the equipment that we regularly haul up the 45 stairs to the lighthouse. If anybody's ever looking for a Friday night workout, you come see us. We got you. There's lots of cases, and they're very heavy. She's first going to turn on the newest member of the Marquette Lighthouse Paranormal team. This is Boo Buddy. And Boo Buddy is a very expensive paranormal investigator. And he's going to sit there and be all cute. And if he goes off, he's just setting his... Yeah, he's just setting his baselines right now. That's what he does when you turn him on. But this little guy detects EMF and temperature change and motion. And he will ask appropriate questions based on what he is detecting. And we have actually had one of these up at the lighthouse before, and the kid spirits love it. So I don't love it because it scares the holy pickles out of me when I'm standing there. And all of a sudden it's like, hi, I'm Boo Buddy. Oh my God, I'm leaving. Anyway, Trish, over to you.
Gotcha. Well, let's start with Boo Buddy. His hands will turn red if a spirit is near him or playing with him, but he also talks. He'll say, did you make it hot in here? Or he wants to play that knocking game or clapping game. Well, anyway, he lets you know that there's spirits around. This is what's called the periscope. Unlike the Bear and the K2, which work off of EMF, electromagnetic field, which is what spirits are allegedly made of. He's talking. This works off of static, and so like if a ghost goes near it, it'll do that. It'll go off. REM pod, which I will not turn on because it's super annoying. Well, we can turn it on for a second. So when you hear that constantly, and we'll ask them, can you step away from it? And they will, but not all the time. It'll keep going off and going off. So I won't leave it on in here, just in case. This is my newest gadget. It's called the Envoy. It has 3 different things where they have to literally push the buttons to spell words to communicate. They will answer questions through it, like they type out a name or how they're feeling. It has emojis. If you say, how are you feeling, or are you sad, they'll pick an emoji. And then it also does like temperature and stuff like that. It's going off.
We haven't been with it yet up there.
No.
What's next?
And then it does yes or no. This is the obelisk. Everyone seems to really like the obelisk. It has like a dictionary of 5,000 words in it, and they allegedly manipulate it and give you words to tell you, to communicate with you. We've had a lot of success with this as well. It's strange when they know your name, and your name is not supposed to be in this type of dictionary, and it's happened. So it's like, how do you get Trish and put it in? Yeah, that's just weird. This is my Paralight, and when they go near it, the whole thing lights up. He's going up. And this is the tripwire that if it changes different colors, that is a spirit that is, walking by it or touching it. We've had that actually, they've used it to communicate. They will turn it, like we said, can you make it a solid blue color? And they have. And they held it for a long time. And then it just went off, like there was nothing. So.
Can you touch my tummy? It just said no.
Oh, yeah, and like the Paralight here, or the Paralight too, but this is a tripwire, and they have, you can watch it while we're doing our
Trish's
little.
fancy lantern. Can you light that up too? Trying to get most of the lantern and the tripwire lights in here. And you, all the same thing.
There you go.
There we go. Good job.
There you go.
Can you light up the tripwire again? You guys seem to really like that tonight. Yeah, good job. Awesome.
The
lantern.
I
know, me too. What time is it? It is 8:32 here in the Eastern Time Zone.
That's the Paralight going on.
Everybody's
Have a
on the
favorite
catwalk.
song.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're getting crazy now. It's activity down here with these tripwire lights tonight.
And now, we have a lot of infrared cameras that we use at nighttime.
The location, yes.
I use cat balls, use everything. So yeah, we have a ton more. I have a lot more equipment, but I just brought like what we mostly use. But like I said, we use a lot of different cameras, recorders, digital recorders. We ask questions and we get responses that we don't hear with our own ears, and we'll play it back. We'll ask them what year it is. Sometimes they've given it. They'll tell you, usually a lot of the times they tell you, get out. I get it, it's your space, you don't want me here, but, so, that's about it.
That's awesome.
That thing
He
keeps going
keeps
on.
talking, it's freaking me out. Yeah.
If there are any spirits in here, light all this stuff up. I would die.
Yeah, that would not be okay. I'll be moving if that happens.
Okay, yeah, that's,
All right, thanks, Trish.
you're welcome.
So Trish is the brave one. She goes into houses that are infested with demons. She goes into stuff I will not go anywhere near. I am the resident screamer on the team. Everybody needs a chicken, and that's me. When she does talk me into going up there late at night for stuff, I'm not brave. And I swear when I'm scared. That's another fun fact that we have discovered. But anyway, most common question that we get is, who is haunting the lighthouse? So I would like to introduce you guys to, I'm going to say three, our top three, if you will. I know there's a lot of spirits up there, but the three that we believe that we interact with the most. So we're going to start with the lady keeper, and that is Mrs. Eliza Truckee. And she was up there with the original lighthouse. We need to turn off the bear.
Okay.
She was with the original lighthouse. Her husband Nelson was the keeper, because women were not lighthouse keepers back then. And Nelson felt the call to defend his country, and he went off to fight in the Civil War. And he left Eliza in charge as acting keeper with 4 children under the age of 10, and she was expecting when he left. So there she is. I wouldn't have lasted a week following that woman. She's hauling water, she's tending the kids, she's trimming the wick on that light every 2 hours at night. And at the end of the night shift, essentially, she would draw the curtains to protect the lens from the sun's rays coming through the glass. And then she would go down to the keeper's quarters to start her day and the record keeping, because they had to have a record of what ships had come and gone, how much oil was used throughout the night, anything that had happened, the weather. They kept track of it all. And they did all of this with surprise inspections from the U.S. Lighthouse Service. Without warning, they would come and inspect the keeper's quarters, and they expected them to be immaculate. There could be no clutter. Everything had to be tidy. Remember, she's got 4 little kids, right? Her inspections were always perfect. Yeah, anyway. So she went 3.5 years not knowing if her husband was alive or dead. When Nelson returned from the war, he had been injured. He took a musket ball to the leg, and he was unable to resume his keeper duties. And so you would think that, given that Eliza had been doing this for 3.5 years and perfectly, that she would be the logical replacement. But she was told that a woman cannot possibly be a lighthouse keeper. And they hired a man. The Truckees then, I believe, retired downstate. But we believe that Eliza is the cheerful female spirit that likes the tours. She enjoys watching, she interacts a bit with the tourists, and she's lovely. So we've had a couple of different psychic mediums read the lighthouse over the years. Some voluntarily, some planned. And when we've done this, we haven't told them what they're reading. So they'll have a couple of interior photos of walls, and they'll just do a read on this location, and they'll come up with stuff like, this person's calling themselves the keeper. I don't know what that means. And it's really interesting. So that's how we know that Eliza is one of them. We were given that name. Finally, I think, 2020, the summer of 2020, I begged on every tour, every time Trish got out her spirit box at EVP, what is the name of the lady that we're hearing from? Can you tell us your name, Lady Keeper? And finally, we got Eliza. But before that, we got a lot of, I'm not telling, it's a secret. These ghosts have a great sense of humor. They will mess with you every chance they get. So finally, we got Eliza, and we knew who we were dealing with. So it is an honor to tell her story. Now, this is my, I'm going to, do I say favorite? The Big Show. I'm going to call him the Big Show up at the Lighthouse. Keeper Adam Byron Sales. And he was a second assistant keeper at the Marquette Harbor Lighthouse. He had a very interesting career with the Lighthouse Service. He worked at Split Rock as well. You can see it, I believe, in the background there. But Split Rock is commonly painted by Thomas Kincaid. Beautiful lighthouse. So he was between there, and he was at Marquette as well. When he was in Marquette, was married to his second wife. And he had 2 sons from his first marriage. I have read through all of his letters with the Lighthouse Service back and forth, and his first wife was after him for back child support and whatnot a lot. There was a lot of leaves of absences. There's rumors that he made $4,000 one summer bootlegging alcohol. So he was an interesting character. So how much of all of that is true, I don't know. But he was definitely a colorful character and a very hard worker, I'm guessing, because he is still there and he is still at work. And he doesn't like the tours, and he doesn't like women. And we tread very lightly with keeper sales. So I always make sure that I tell his story and how hard he worked and how important he was. And then he and I get along very well. He also understands that we're doing these tours to make money. And we want to restore that lighthouse to its former glory. And so we say, if you could walk around, if you could slam a door, if you could answer a couple of questions, we'll wrap this up as quick as we can and let you get on with your shift. And he's really good about interacting. We have got EVP recordings of him telling us how he died. He is the only person that we know of to die in the Marquette Harbor Lighthouse, and he passed from a heart attack in his room on the second floor back in 1942. And he was in his 40s at that point, so very young when he passed. But he is still there, and he's very, very strong. And I would love to share with you at this point my favorite Keeper Sales story. And I believe this is from summer of 2020. It was a daytime tour. Nothing specifically paranormal going on, but I had a full tour, and it was hot outside. And it's really hard to entertain 20 people when you're telling stories and it's hot outside. And I had a gentleman on this tour with his wife. And they weren't getting along. And they made that abundantly clear at the start of the tour when they were bickering back and forth. And then his cell phone rang. So folks, when you're in a public situation like a tour and your cell phone goes off, what do? Shut it off. Or maybe silence it, or say, I'll talk to you later. Not this gentleman. Oh no, folks. He took that phone call right in the middle of the tour and made sure everybody knew how important he was. And then he took another phone call, and then about 10 minutes later, he took another phone call. So at this point, we're just getting ready to head up the stairs to the lighthouse, and I'm about ready to take that phone and throw it in the lake. I wanted to do something else with it, but that wouldn't be polite. Anyway, as we're walking into the lighthouse, guess whose phone rang? Again, fourth time. And he's chatting away, and his wife is like ready to throw him into the lake too. And I'm like, do it! You can do better! I didn't say that, but I wanted to. And, oh, Lord. So he finishes his phone call. And Hillary, if I could get a floor plan, I would like to show these lovely people where this happened. I know I'm asking you to deviate from our plan here, but it's easier to, if you have a visual as to where in the lighthouse this happened. There it is. All right. Okay, so we were standing in this room right here, and we have an awesome foghorn photo display in this room. And the gentleman in question was leaning on the door frame right here. He's leaning, and he's got his arms crossed, and his body language is saying he's so over this tour, and my body language is saying, get out of here. And I'm talking away, and all of a sudden he finished that fourth phone call. He put his phone away. And this door right here that closes onto the tower, no wind, hot day, zero ventilation, no air movement in this lighthouse. This door slammed so hard, the floor shook. And it slammed, like I couldn't slam a door that hard if I tried. Like, and this guy jumped about 1.5 feet. I think he pooped a little. The door slammed by itself. I said, sir, did you bump the door? Doors don't slam by themselves. So back to these photos of the Foghorn building. And I kept right on rolling with my tour. And I'm like, high five, Keeper Sales. Woo! I was so happy. When I came back in after that tour to lock up the front door, I talked to Keeper Sales the whole time I was in there, thanking him profusely for that lesson in etiquette. Really appreciated that. He's a good door slammer. That door has since been removed from the hinges to prevent spontaneous slamming. And the door at the top of the second floor has been tied to the railing up there so that it cannot be slammed. It's a lot easier on the nerves of the tour guides when there is no random slamming of doors. So that's my favorite Keeper Sales. Sorry, how do I know it was him? I just know. And I know that sounds weird, but I just know. So that being said, we have got a clip that we are going to play for you. This clip was recorded on a recorder that was not in the room that we were in. So we were in the room next door. And Trish leaves recorders in every room when we're up there. So she'll get really cool stuff that we didn't hear with our ears at the time that it happened. And this clip is one of them. You're going to hear somebody screaming, "Get out!" I'll get her to play it again. Did you guys hear that? Did you hear the "get out" in the background? One more time? We'll go one more time. Okay, did you guys all hear that? Yeah, didn't hear it at the time, or I wouldn't have been in there. Not a chance. So, my favorite ghost, and I know you're probably not supposed to have a favorite, but he is. So there's been a lot of children that have lived in the lighthouse over the years. There is no children that have passed there that we know of. And the stock ghost story with the Marquette Lighthouse is about a little girl. I've never had any interaction with a little girl, but we do have interaction with a little boy named David. Regularly, and he's wonderful. And when he's around, it's like a warm, tingly energy. He'll pinch you, he'll hold your hand, He'll mess with the guests a little bit. He's really good about interacting with us. We have got, we're going to advance to the next slide here. We actually have David on video for you folks tonight. So skeptics, pay close attention. This happened on Facebook Live. Trish was using her SLS camera, and it is the same technology that Xbox Connect uses, if that means anything to you guys, but it maps out figures and paranormal figures as well. And we were downstairs. David and I have a good arrangement. He likes it when you sing, and row, row, row your boat seems to be the favorite. So I will say, if you'll come take a picture with me or come and visit with the tour or maybe light this up, we'll sing for you. This tour is ready to sing. So if you come on a paranormal tour, bring your singing voice. I'm going to make you work. But anyway, this video will show you guys David. Your pictures together? Take a hand. Oh my God.
Yep, he's right there. Little stick figure, your right hand. Oh, is it your left? Lift up your right hand. Okay, lift up your left. Yep, he's right by your left side. He's right up next to you.
And he grabs my hand.
He's like right up next to you.
Can you wave to me and Trish, David?
Can you wave, David? Can you wave at
Up
us?
with the hand and he waves.
Oh, it looked like it did.
Yeah, he's putting his hand up. He's putting his arm up. Still there. But that bigger one is like.
And that's David, folks. So one of the mediums that read the Lighthouse told us that David actually drowned nearby when he was about 2. And it was so tragic and happened so fast that he just attached to the nearest building, and that happened to be the Lighthouse. So he is there, and he's awesome, and he is by far my favorite because he never scares us. He just comes and interacts, and I hope at some point that we can help him cross over, because it's sad to me that he's not with his family. But anyway, that is David. So we have more evidence, if you will. This next one happened during the secret word game. So we'll play a game with the ghosts. Before the tour, before I go down to the museum to get the tour, we'll pick a secret word up at the Lighthouse. And we'll tell the ghosts this is going to be our secret word tonight. Remember it, repeat it later if you would, please. That would, help us spread the word and make more money to fix your lighthouse. And like I said, they're pretty good about that whole money thing. Anyway, so the word that night was Nubs. My dog Nubs had passed away that week, and I was still very devastated. And Nubs is not a common word. That's not something you're going to get on a radio frequency if you're running a scanner. So I said, let's use Nubs. I'd already told the ghosts all about my dog passing, and I probably cried a little, and Anyway, so I went down and got the tour. And down at the Maritime Museum, I'm talking to them. I said, we're going to play a game with the ghosts tonight up in the Lighthouse, and we're going to ask them what the secret word is. And I'm going to tell you guys down here before we go up there, and the secret word tonight is going to be Nubs. So up we go. I'm telling stories and talking, if you can imagine. And we get up there, and we're playing the secret word game. And this happened on Facebook Live. We clipped this video off of there. So I'll let you guys listen. Trish is using I believe it's the necrophonic in this clip.
Okay, so Susan and I gave you a secret word earlier. Can anyone repeat the secret word? Remember we told you to remember that word? What's the secret word?
Nubs.
Oh my God, you guys, thank you.
So I cried again. My dog had just died.
So for anybody watching live at home right now,
We got Nubs 4 different times that night in different spots in the Lighthouse.
so you guys can hear me for just a second. So we did a secret word earlier when we came in, and we told the spirits of the Lighthouse what the secret word was going to be. And I lost my dog this week. My dog passed away, and her name was Nubs, N-U-B-S, and that's an unusual name and not a common word. And so that was our secret word this evening. And we asked if they would repeat the secret word for us later on during the tour, and the word was Nubs. And as you guys just heard from the spirit box, We asked what the secret word was, and the spirits of Marquette Harbor Lighthouse just said nice. So for those of you that don't believe in the paranormal, that's pretty hard to debunk.
So yeah, 3 more times. We were upstairs later on and doing EVP stuff and playing around, and yeah, 4 times total. So that was pretty cool. We also had them call a guest an asshole through the spirit box later that summer. So back to that whole sense of humor thing. We'll say, you know, what's this person's name? And quite often they'll say the name of somebody on the tour, and that's cool. But this poor guy, they didn't say his name. His buddies told us that was accurate. So I'll just leave that there. Anyway, this next one is audio of...
But I kind of want to set this up.
Okay, come talk.
Okay, so...
Come talk in the mic.
Oh.
Trish, it's all you. I'll stand here and talk all night. You gotta take over.
Okay, so I was in the winch room and I was moving some stuff into the winch room, like the bear and all that kind of stuff. And I hear this loud scraping noise, and I thought it was a skateboard going across the sidewalk out there. So I didn't think nothing of it, and then a second later, I'm wait a minute, it's like 12 o'clock at night. Did that just go off? Yeah. Okay, there's a ghost here. I'm like, it's 12 o'clock at night, there's nobody skateboarding out here, and if they were, Susan would be out there ripping them a new one. So, when you're in there, and you're hearing it with your own ears, it literally was so loud, I thought it was a skateboard. So you'll hear it, but it's not going to be what I heard, because I heard it like super loud. So that's why it, to me, is so significant, because whatever pushed that car, pushed it with force. They had little doors that open in the hood. They were all open where it stopped. So yeah, just want to set that up. It just happened.
Yeah, it does. It's not very loud. Okay, we just heard like a
But in
scrape
person,
sound.
it was super loud.
I'll do it again.
Okay, we're gonna have it one more time. See if we can get it a little louder for you guys. Yeah, it was just as great as she set the ball that it's really hard
But
to hear in here.
in, like I said, in person, it was 10 times.
It was.
louder.
She actually called out to me, Susan, like she's in the basement in the winch room, and I'm upstairs terrified in my lawn chair. I would have left her there to die. I wouldn't have got out of that lawn chair for love nor money at that point. So Trish was on her own. So that's the hazards of investigating with me. I'm not going to help you. I'm going to pretend nothing's wrong. All right, so this next one, my son Rowan works as security for us sometimes. There's a lot of people that like to trespass up by the lighthouse, and if we're doing paranormal tours, we like to keep the noise down so that anything we're picking up inside can be debunked by people roaming around outside. So Rowan is an unusual name. And Rowan, my son, does not like to come inside the lighthouse anymore because he sees things. He has seen the spirit of a child. And he's also seen a very large man in a uniform in the basement next to the stairwell. And Rowan is 6'5". So for Rowan to say somebody's really big, how big is this guy? But we've actually had other people see this big guy in the uniform too. So that's kind of cool. But Rowan doesn't want to see this. He doesn't want anything to do with that. So he's good to lock the door and scare people away, but he doesn't like to come in unless he absolutely has to. So this is the Rowan in this video.
What's the name of the guy that's upstairs?
Mm-hmm.
10 years old. What's her son's name?
Oh, the guy that's upstairs. Duh. Yeah, that is my son upstairs. Okay, took me like 5 minutes to catch on. You're right, thank you.
Apparently I need coffee.
What's his name?
Thank you, that's right. So we will quite often get intelligent response, and it is pretty darn cool. Keeper Sales has done through the spirit box. He's told us how he died. He said heart, and he also likes to say get out. And yeah, we do have somebody that likes to swear right now as well, which isn't ideal. We like to keep it PG, but we have got a photo that was taken by one of our guests.
No, I took
And
that one out.
oh, she took it out. Okay. There's a face in the window, and it's kind of hard to see when we had it up on the screen, so Hillary just removed it. But I am going to invite our director, our museum director, Hillary Billman, up onto the stage because she has got the coolest story of 2022, and I would like her to come tell it. She called me right after it happened, and the hair stood up on my arms while I was at work. So this is a great story. Hillary.
I told her actually I didn't want to tell this story. I try to stay out of the ghost stuff, but this happened to me last summer. A lot of times at the museum we get special tours that want to go through and do like a Lighthouse tour. And I don't do very many tours, but if we get a special tour group in, a lot of times I'll do it. So this was a wedding party that came in I think it was August. Yeah, I think it was August last year. So it was about 10 people. I think there were about 8 adults and 2 kids. And so it was a really fun group. We were having fun. There was a paranormal tour later the next week, and I was telling them about it, and they were all saying, oh, we really like that kind of stuff. We wish we were going to be here for that. But it was the bride and the groom, and like the groom's sister and niece, and just a bunch of people. But the important characters are, there was a little girl that was about 3 and her dad, who I think was an uncle. So we were down in that room that everything seems to happen to these guys all the time. And we call it the winch room because there was a big winch that we used to bring a cart of goods up with supplies to the museum. We were in the winch room, and I was telling them the story that we always tell in the winch room of the little girl in the lighthouse, the ghost story of the little girl with the footprints. But the little 3-year-old girl was actually not with our group. Her dad was holding her because she was really, really sick of my tour and didn't want anything to do with adults anymore. And so they were kind of out walking around. So she couldn't hear anything that I was saying about the ghosts. And her dad brought her back in right when we were done with the tour. And I saw her, the little girl said something to her dad, and the dad called the mom over, and they were kind of whispering, and everybody looked worried. And I was like, what is going on? And I said, is everything okay? Yeah, it's okay. So we get up, we go out of the museum, down the steps, and back to the museum. And we are, I was just talking to the mother of the bride, who was also the grandmother of this little girl, and she said, did you see what happened at the lighthouse? And my hair went up on my arm, and I was like, oh, please, no. Don't tell me. But she told me. She said the little girl had said to her mom and dad, or had said to her dad, I was playing with the little girl in the pink dress with no face. And then she flew up to the roof. And I was just like, oh, God, I gotta call Susan now. But the weird thing about it, the reason why, usually this kind of stuff, I tell Susan, I'm like, you deal with it. But both the grandparents and the parents of this little girl said, this little girl does not make stuff up. She's not the kind of little girl that's gonna make up a story and tell you. So it was weird, and I was really wishing it was Susan that was doing it.
And that's going to be a hard pass on the little girl with no face. Not interested. That was great. She called me at work, and I'm like, oh, and we had a tour later that night. So that tour, I'm like, oh, have I got a story for you guys? This is brand new. But to date, knock on wood, I have not encountered the little girl in the pink dress with no face. I'd like to keep it that way. Because again, I will scream and cry and run away. All right, so that being said, folks, our paranormal tours are going to kick off for 2023 starting in May. So if you are interested in joining us, I think we're planning on doing a Friday night each month. And we can do tours by special request. If you have a group that's interested in something like that, we can contract special group tours as well. So talk to Hillary. But Hillary's going to be keeping a list at the Lighthouse, or the Maritime Museum, I'm sorry. So if you're interested in a paranormal tour, you can keep track of the Maritime Museum Facebook page. For dates and times, tickets are by advance purchase, and they are for ages 18 and up. We don't allow kids. Kids are subject to paranormal attachment, and we don't want any part of that. So 18 and up.
And on that note, now that we're talking about attachment, we're looking for volunteers. If you'd like to come out and learn to be a tour guide, we're looking for daytime tour guides. So we've got daytime availability on weekends, I believe. Yeah, we'd love to have you. I've been there 6 years. It's fine. It's fine. No, seriously, the daytime tours are great, and it's an awesome chance to meet people. I have met people from all over the world. You would not believe the people that come to the U.S. and tour lighthouses all summer long. It is cool, like all over the world. It is wild. You meet some really interesting people. So, and you can talk to Hillary about that as well if you are interested. Beth may even have some volunteer sign up. Oh yeah, over at the table over here with the lanterns. Our lovely Beth. Your wife wants to volunteer. She's going. Beth, you can see her for volunteer information as well. We would really love to have some more support because we are completely volunteer run. So any assistance is greatly appreciated. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, sir.
So, say you make meaningful contact with spirit. As a paranormal investigative group, what would your end goal be if you were to make that reliable contact?
Trish, come answer this man's question.
Give a microphone. Okay, what was the question?
Say you make reliable, consistent contact with the spirit you can identify. What would your end goal be from that point?
Well, I usually ask them what they want. If they want help, we help them. If they just want acknowledgement, we sit and chat with them. My goal kind of, I guess, for the Lighthouse is just to let them understand or help them understand when we do the tours, the daytime tours and the nighttime tours, we're not there to mock them or they're not a dog and pony show. And we tell them, we need repairs done on the lighthouses. This is the only way we're going to be able to do it. So, yeah.
So I guess, yeah, we do have regular and consistent contact. With Keeper Sales especially, we're very respectful. And we do get the odd tour guest that wants to provoke a little bit, and that doesn't fly up there. There's no provocation, there's no disrespect. That's their lighthouse. It's not ours, and you're a guest. So we are very, very picky about that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Have you asked Keeper Sayers if he wants to cross over?
We have not asked Keeper Sales if he wants to cross over. A couple of the mediums that have read Keeper Sales say that he believes it's his lighthouse and he's happy they're working. So we just believe he's still doing his thing, and we tread lightly and try to respect that. Nothing worse than somebody coming in with a group of 10 people when you're trying to work and ask you questions and whatnot. So we try to, when he tells us to get out, and that happens regularly, we do. When he's done, we're done. Yeah. So, but we should. This summer, Trish, we'll ask him if he wants help crossing over.
But I get the sense that he likes working there.
Yeah,
that's
he
why
definitely
I don't
likes
ever, I just tell him, dude, I know you're doing your thing. I'm going to leave you to it.
Yeah, he's very strong. Man, he can slam a door. Any other questions? It's really bright up here. Ma'am, yes.
Have you ever had a spirit follow you home, or have you experienced anything outside of it?
Yes.
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes. Trish has better stories about this from other places besides the lighthouse. So I'm going to let Trish tell you about some of the stuff that's followed her home. Tell the black salt story, Trish. That's a good one.
Oh, at the Monroe House?
Yeah, tell that story.
Oh gosh. Okay, so the Monroe House is a home that is super, super haunted in Indiana. People go there all the time. The guy actually bought the house. He intended to flip it, but he started seeing all kinds of weird things like black shadows. All kinds of weird stuff would happen. So he had paranormal groups come in, the kind that are from TV, and they claim there's demonic activity there. Well, anyway, we kind of figured it out that there is. So a group of us went, and we all were like, yeah, we're going to use some black salt before we leave to make sure. And we tell the spirits, you have to stay there. And one lady just refused and refused. Because I think she thought nothing could happen. Well, she went to step over the salt, started retching and choking. and did not remember anything. So that was a little scary. She got a really bad headache. And then a second time that I had gone there, as soon as I pulled up in my driveway, I went to go to my house. I heard my grandson screaming, somebody's here, somebody's here. So I thought he was talking about me, and he was excited. No, he was terrified. He said there was a little boy in my room, and the little boy was telling him to get out because it was his house. And I had found out later on, well, I told my grandson, tell him to go away, it's grandma's house, he's not welcome here, so he did. I had found out later on that people have also had that happen. A child follows them from this house and goes home with them. And he did leave. But it seems like that I believe in crystals, and I carry like selenite and black obsidian, tourmaline. I have psychic friends, so I'm like, hey, I think I have a spirit in my house. What do I do? And they, we use a lot of sage, stuff like that. But we have had attachments. So it happens.
It does. We are careful with our tours. We do tell people, what to say and whatnot, so that you don't take anything home with you. I don't believe there's anything bad at our lighthouse that would do that. But if they're curious about you, they can totally follow you home. You can get an attachment in the grocery store.
Yep.
If they think you're interesting, they may follow you home. If you're coming home with me, you better do some dishes. So there's that. We have a little girl with a question. Do you want to come up and ask your question in the microphone? Okay, come on. What's your name?
Margaret.
Margaret, what's your question?
What would happen if a bad ghost followed you to your house?
If a bad ghost followed me to my house, I'd
kick
kick him
him
out. Trish has a really cool friend named Kevin.
Yeah.
And Kevin is a priest.
And Kevin's watching, by the way. Say hi to Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Kevin
Kevin is with Six
Kevin said
Sense
hi.
Paranormal in Wisconsin, and Kevin has a whole
But
toolbox
maybe
of stuff to
it
get rid of them.
wouldn't get out when you said get out.
Oh, if it wouldn't get out, Kevin's pretty good at that. He can make any ghost go.
I think it would be salt.
Yeah, salt. You think that's the way to do it?
Because that's a ghost's weakness.
Is it? Are you looking for a summer job? Are you going to join the team? How do you know so much about ghosts?
I just love them.
You love them. Oh my gosh, Trish, the next generation.
My grandma loves the lake, and she loves the lighthouse.
Very nice.
That's how.
Very cool. Well, thank you for your question, Margaret. Thanks for coming tonight. Oh, she's much cuter than we are. Oh my gosh. Any other questions? I cannot see in the light. There's a... Hi, go ahead.
So since Keeper Sales doesn't like women, is there any problem between him and Eliza?
He doesn't let Eliza talk. If the two of them are there together, he can be very domineering to other spirits, and they seem to kind of tread lightly around him as well. Yeah, so if he's not around, we'll get more activity from... But yeah, he's actually... So back to that story about the neck touching with Shannon and I. This is about him not liking women. Shannon's a bigger gal as well, so I had come to the conclusion, after Shannon and I discussed, that he had a thing for the plus-size ladies. I was like, he's trying to say, hey, no. Right? How you doing? Exactly. That was not the case. The psychic medium that read the Lighthouse told me he thinks it's funny to try to push people down the stairs, and that's what he was trying to do. Oh, no, you didn't. No. So when I went back in there, I was mad. You're not, no. That is rude. You don't have permission to touch me. We had a rule, come to Jesus, let me tell you. And then I apologized because you don't raise your voice at Keeper Sales, but I was mad. So all that time I thought I was really attractive, and you just wanted to see me die. Anyway, we do tell people to hang on to the railings because, sometimes a knee can go out. You never know. So yeah, he thinks things are funny that I don't think are funny. I did see a hand back here by the bar.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
In the event that you come across a ghost who says, yeah, I really do want to cross over, how would you help?
That is a great question for Trish. She can cross people over. That is beyond my pay grade. Here's Trish.
Okay, I wouldn't say I'm great at it. It's just I've learned from other people. My biggest thing is everything is intention. So I'll burn some sage and I'll walk through, put it up all the walls in the corners, I open windows so that they have a way out. And I just tell them, go find a loved one who's waiting for you. If you want to leave, there's your way out. Let them know that they can. Some people, like if a child dies tragically, and they haven't been taught that where you go when you die. Sometimes they'll stick around and you have to let them know, hey, you can go find a grandma, a grandpa, an aunt, an uncle, to move them on, because they don't know. So I try my best. If I can't figure it out, like I said, I have a friend that I call and I'm like, hey, I have this going on. Can you come up and help? So, you're welcome.
You guys have great questions tonight. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Are there certain times where you notice that the activity is more active?
Oh, yes. If there's a thunderstorm coming in, wow, it is amazing up there. So rock and water are both catalysts for paranormal activity. And then you get a storm. The lighthouse is on rock and water. But then you get a storm coming in and all that energy. It's just amazing. That's like a huge battery for them, and they'll be really active when there's a storm coming in. So if you can get a paranormal tour on a Friday night, you guys are going to get a big show. We can't guarantee activity at our tours, but I don't think we've ever had, maybe one time where people got ghosted. And not much, the jokes are free. But usually somebody hears their name or there's footsteps. Or we had 2 flute players on a tour a couple summers ago, and the ghosts loved the music. It was the coolest thing. So yeah, we usually, something's going to happen, typically. And if not, you get my jokes. And you get to play with Trish's equipment. So we can't guarantee it, but usually people walk away pretty astounded, jaws on the floor. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Anything with moon phases?
Moon phases? I don't know. Trish, you got anything with moon phases? That's not something I
Yes, but I don't follow it. I have friends that do, and so I kind of like, okay, so the moon's going to be like this, and that's what I saw on like Facebook or something. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. I have friends that are witches. I have friends that are psychic mediums. So that was
Trish has really cool friends. Yes, ma'am.
Is there ever any activity outside of the...
Oh, yes, there is. Talk to the Marquette City Police. Do we have any police officers here tonight? Anybody with the Marquette City Police here tonight? The question was, do we ever get any activity outside the lighthouse? And the city police have some great stories about this. So those brave folks, they do a walkthrough every evening, I believe. At some point, they'll climb the steps. They'll check the perimeter. They'll make sure everything is secure. And a lot of those officers have stories about seeing black shadows gliding down the side of the lighthouse, like on the sidewalk outside. So we thought, as a thank you to the Marquette City Police for all the work that they do, catching graffiti artists, little naughty people, and whatnot, we would offer them a special police-only paranormal tour a couple of years ago. So we invited them. Crickets. Not a single RSVP from the Marquette City Police. They're like, yeah, we're good. So if they come up and knock when we're in the middle of a tour, what are you doing? No, we're in the middle of a paranormal tour. Are you coming in? No. We did have one officer come in one night and did an EVP session with us, young guy. He was really cool. But for the most part, they're like, yeah, we've seen it. We're good. So thanks, but no. Yes, sir.
Kind of connected to that, but any connections or any thing about like any of the drownings or any shipwreck thing type?
There is layers upon layers of spirits up there. We have just scratched the surface. So probably. The gentleman's question was, is there any connections to shipwrecks and drownings in the area? Probably. Like these 3 ghosts I've introduced you to tonight are just the tip of the iceberg. We get a lot more going on up there. And it's not an exact science, so I'm sure there is. Come on up for a tour. Fred knows all about all the shipwrecks and all of the things, so he'd be the one to talk to you about that too. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
How often does Trish's group do their work in the field here in the Marquette County area?
More than you would think. How often do Trish's groups do their work in the field? I was actually just with Trish about a month ago at a private residence in Negaunee. Trish gets interesting calls. She just had a call from Lorium as well. If somebody's got something going on in their house that they don't want and they're scared of, Trish will come in and deal with that. We had one in Negaunee a couple of years ago that was dark, and we ended up, Trish called in a team from Green Bay to get rid of that. It was something attached to the land. and it was really, really quite nasty. So there you go, folks. If you have a ghost you need to get rid of, you just message Trish through the You Prepare Normal page, and she'll come over and clean house for you. Yes.
Have you done any investigations inside the museum? Are there any attachments to the objects in the museum?
Have we done any investigations in the museum? Yes, we did. Was that last year or the year before? We were in the museum for an evening, and we got some activity, but as far as establishing a connection to a specific object, we didn't. But we did get some names that stood out. I cannot for the life of me remember, but notable names.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
With former board members. There was a board member name, somebody on the original board, I think, that kept coming up, and my memory's not that good. But yes, we have been in there, and it is active. When I first visited Marquette in 2015, I did not live here then. I moved here in 2016, but I came to the Maritime Museum, and I was looking at the Coast Guard display, which is fabulous. If you haven't been to the museum, you need to check that out. And something poked me, and I thought it was my husband. And I turned around and there was nobody there. And I'm like, that was weird. And I asked the girl that was working the front desk, is your museum haunted? And she's like, uh-huh. I was like, okay, good talk. And that was it. I left. We went for a Lighthouse tour, which you need to do if you haven't done. And then I ended up moving here late in 2016 and volunteering and not believing in ghosts. And here I am 6 years later. So that being said, folks, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We really appreciate it. The weather is crappy. Thank you. And I'm going to turn the mic back over to Doug.
Let's have a great round of applause for both. I said it would be a little different than what we've been doing all year, right? And certainly we have. I would be remiss if I did not let you know that we have at the table right back there in the corner of the museum wonderful t-shirts for the Marquette Maritime Museum Paranormal Tour. Should you be so moved, take a good look at them. They are one-of-a-kind items. We are, of course, done for the year, the season, and we will be opening up starting again next November. Keep your eyes on our Facebook site. We'll be putting out the dates of the speaker program as we manage to develop it. And again, if anyone has any people that they might suggest or topics, please catch me tonight, and I'll do my best to see how we can kind of make all that work. Remember, we do need volunteers for the museum. That's how we principally operate. If you'd like to volunteer to be a Lighthouse tour guide or be a docent in the museum, we do have some forms that we'd like you to fill out for us. So we'll talk to Beth or Hillary, and we'll see what we can do. Lastly, thank you for coming this whole year. Thank you for supporting us, your museum. We deeply appreciate you being here, and especially tonight with the very adverse weather that we have. Remember, they still have beer. Take care.